So, everybody, for those of you listening out there, and for those of you watching on YouTube, hey, everybody, that was a wave to the camera here in our new digs for the podcast. So, we're coming at you guys from a new spot. It's same building, everything, just a new room. Got a little more elbow room for guests that we bring on and things of that nature. So this is the first podcast coming to you from this area. We'd love for those of you watching, or even if you don't normally watch, why don't you head on over to YouTube and just check it out? Because we'd love some ideas on how to decorate this place. Right now, it's a little bit haphazardly decorated. Just kind of threw some stuff in here this morning because we knew we didn't want to have, there's a bunch of shelves around us. We didn't want to have them be empty for those watching. It look a little barren. We also have some fried squirrel here, courtesy of Erik. That only took about 3.5 hours.
We did not have the right tools for the job, but we got it done.
And you know what? It is exceptional.
So if you're ever
take credit,
if you're ever in a pinch, and all you have is one of those Black & Decker pancake fryers and you need to fry something, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a big sheet of tin foil, about the length of the pancake fryer, and fold it up at all four corners. You're going to have to do a weird fold at the corners, of course, or all four edges. The corners will get a little weird, but it'll work. Fill it up with as much oil as you can get without pouring over, and then just turn the pancake fryer on. And when you do that, you can actually fry in there, and that's how we did these squirrel parts and things.
They're awesome.
They are good.
Pretty good.
I like them.
So now for the podcast topic,
which we don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
I mean, we don't know. You guys know, and
no, I don't know. I think I think Jim actually we talked about it at one time, and then since it's been proven time and time again, I have the memory of a goldfish. This is going to be even a surprise to me.
Right. So,
yeah, that's science-based facts right there.
It's a question. I'm going to pose a question to you. Baiting deer is a topic that is controversial to say the least. I don't even know where we'll go on that, but it is controversial to say the least, right? I don't think we can. Lots of things are
people
controversial.
oftentimes have
strong opinions.
Yeah. Why does nobody have a problem with baiting fish?
Oh my gosh, because it's not the same thing.
Why is it not the same thing? You're getting
I'm already being defensive.
Now,
yeah,
hold on.
That's how,
and
that's
actually, full disclosure, which I don't know why it seems to work out like this. I haven't eaten anything today. I did take down.
There's squirrel right in front of you.
Well, I ate a little bit of squirrel, but I did take down an energy drink about 5 minutes ago.
How you feeling?
He's wasted again.
Dude, Mark is awesome on podcasts when he slams an energy drink before this.
So anyway, full disclosure.
That's fine. Oh, okay, so what's the deal? Why is baiting fish okay?
Now, when you say baiting fish, there's a difference between fishing with bait and
He's got to take his
fish.
jacket off. How is there a difference between fishing with bait? Listen to the word you're saying.
Right. So when you're fishing with the lure. So we're gonna use the word lure in lieu of bait here.
Okay.
Now there's also baiting fish. So you can't
Yes.
chum. You can't chum in most states.
Okay.
And you'd have to look in Wisconsin or Minnesota. If I wanted, like, off my grandpa's dock, if I was going to catch bluegills, if you really wanted to catch a lot of bluegills, you went and you got yourself some Sure Time or Green Giant corn. You opened it up, you straightened out the water, and you threw handfuls of corn in. I've never done this. I've only heard it works really good. And sunfish come from all over the place.
Wait, you said it's just corn?
Corn.
Huh.
And that's illegal. That's like chumming.
Sunfish, but that's not bluegill, right?
Yeah, bluegill
Different.
or pumpkin seed.
Sunfish
crappie.
are the ones like oh my gosh, Jay. Like
that's
guy.
a different sunfish. That's
different?
Yeah, that's the ocean sunfish. Very different kind of fish.
Do they do the same thing as
No.
the ocean sunfish,
No.
or they float at the
So,
top and look like a
yeah,
dead sea turtle?
A baby wheel. So ocean sunfish do that to kind of they gather heat like that, and then they go back down to the depths. But these are like sunfish, like sunnies, crappies,
Gotcha.
pumpkin seeds.
They actually have a
bluegills.
hue that's kind of like that almost.
Yeah, kind of.
on the
Do those?
bottom.
Like this?
I've only seen
Sauce
those
we
ocean
got?
sunfish like on top. I assumed that's exactly where they lived all the time.
No, they're actually very deep dwelling fish.
I'm looking it up.
So you've got. So you're saying you're fishing with a lure, but the lure has bait on it.
Well, okay, could.
So let me ask you this.
No.
Okay, so let's say we go hunting for deers. All right. Let's say that I just tied a string around the trigger of my rifle and I put a corn cob on the end of the barrel and just tossed the gun out in the field.
That'd be
and
baiting.
waited until a deer came by, and then I just yanked the trigger with this string and
That's
blew
baiting.
its head off.
Baiting.
That's baiting, but why is it not baiting when it's fish?
Well, okay, so the other alternative to attempting to catch a fish would be netting, which a lot of states is not legal for game fish unless you're in like Alaska or coastal states, I suppose. Or you are snagging, which is also not legal in a lot of states. Some states it is. You can snag stuff like sturgeon and paddlefish in some states. But with fish, you're trying to entice the bite. Like that's how you catch them.
Okay.
Unless you go out there with like a spear or a bow, which is a different.
Well, yeah. And what's to say maybe is the only truly ethical way to get fish with a spear, a bow, or your bare ass hands?
I don't know. It's a good point. I mean, you got to be a pretty adept fisherman to run a Poe's Giant Jackpot, topwater fishing for muskellunge, right? We're talking about an 8 or 9 inch long bait. You got to know how to work the rod. I mean, it's a technique. You cast 10,000 times, catch fish.
A lot of the things you said, I actually didn't quite. There were some words in there. That was a fisherman talking. And for the record, but I don't know if anybody's just like boiling at the seams by now, if they're a big fisherman. I just wanted to pose this question for fun, but we're still going to have a podcast.
Jim, I remember when Jim posed this question to me the other day. And
I like to throw out pokers, just that make you think, but it really just bugs Mark.
I was going to say, I mean, all you wanted to accomplish was poking the bear. I mean,
yeah,
Mark the bear.
I see you wrote sunfish down on your notes
because I'm curious. I want to learn more about them.
Okay, yeah.
There's some good meat on that thing.
Some
lot
good
of meat on that.
Yeah.
Jay.
Somebody call the aquarium.
Save it.
But so we got to talking about this when Mark was he was very flustered. But we were talking about what's the deal with some of these methods like bow fishing, spear fishing. Mark, you were saying those are some that are considered at times unsportsmanlike. Are they?
Yeah. Like,
what's the deal with that?
Well, I think it depends on the fish species, and again, it's been a while since I've lived in Minnesota. I've not looked at the regs since then, so if I misquote this is a real possibility. You could spearfish or archery fish for rough fish like common carp, buffalo, bowfin, also known as dogfish, and other things like that, and that was totally fine. But I could not go out. Put my flippers on and go swim around and go stab a northern pike during summer hours. Like you couldn't do that. Now, they had a winter season for spearing, which is something I learned you can't do in Wisconsin. You can't spear pike in the winter. Here.
We do have the sturgeon.
I was going to bring that up, and spearing a pike during that is a huge. Like you can get in. It's a big fine,
right?
If you spear a pike. Right, sturgeon spearing.
Which you could see how a person.
Oh yeah,
some snakies running through
water.
How does that work? How do you spear a sturgeon again? Can you guys go through that process real quick?
So,
did I totally derail you, Ryan? I think
no.
Okay.
Basically, you cut a hole in the ice about probably half the size of this table, and you have a really dark shanty.
About
3 by
3 feet?
4, yeah.
4 feet?
Yeah. 3 by 4, generally, give or take. And then you have a shanty over the top. A lot of times
called a dark house.
Yeah, dark house.
Yep.
And a lot of these are like homemade, dark houses. It's not like the
Does
shanty
it have
you would
to be very dark.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because otherwise that hole is going to shine like no other. And a sturgeon is a very curious fish, but it's not going to come up if that hole in the ice is shining in like a glowing orb or whatever.
He may know something is afoot.
Right, exactly. But then, so playing off their curiosity, a lot of people...
is a fin.
A fin.
Ha! Nailed it.
Playing off their curiosity, a lot of people put a decoy down there, whether that's like a sturgeon decoy. Last year, we speared one using a deer antler and a milk jug. So it's very non-specific, and it's non-scientific.
Did you spear it with the deer antler or the milk jug?
That was the decoy.
So you killed one of them dinosaurs.
I did not. My buddy did.
Was it a big one?
It was 69 inches, 69 pounds.
Bucket.
That is a big one.
Yep.
That
was
fish,
incredible.
That fish, how old do you think that fish was?
It was, oh man, we did have it.
Do the otolith thing?
Yeah, it was like 35 or something.
So
like
would you
that.
call that a nice sturgeon?
Oh, that'd be a real nice
That's a
one.
grande.
Okay, but only
That's a
nice
grande.
because it's big.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would you do they
Correct.
Do they have size limits on them?
Well
Can
put,
you-
No,
Mark.
they don't.
So you could spear if you saw an 18-inch
Yeah,
snot rocket, you
Yep.
stab it. Okay.
definitely. And, basically you have that hole in the ice. You sit there, you wait in this room looking into this hole in the ice for hours
But
until
it's dark.
well, all you can what you do is a lot of people drop siding down or some kind of like white object, and they'll form like an X because that water on Lake Winnebago where the spearing goes on is so murky. Like even if you're 9 feet deep, you're not going to see the bottom. So you put this like X down there of like, house siding or
White PVC pipe.
any kind of paneling that basically creates contrast. And then as soon as that shadow goes across, you huck a spear at it.
That's no bueno in Minnesota for the pike. You can put like lima beans and eggshells down, but if I think if you put something other than something natural, that's no go. I know some guys that chop potatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
What happens if like all of a sudden the whole lake is just
guys,
you could build a house.
On like
you could.
They're removing this.
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
They're
But
all
you
connected by
There's still
I
you
got you.
can't put stuff down there.
right. Nothing permanent. It's all temporary.
Now I'll say this: I've never speared a sturgeon. I've always been kind of fascinated by the prospect, but for me, it's kind of like killing a snapping turtle. They taste phenomenal, but I feel so bad to do it. I do not have it in my soul to kill a snapping turtle again. I don't think.
I will say this, like
yeah, that was a pretty messed up story you told that one time about the last one.
Dude, it was just a
How
disaster.
the heck does that happen,
I
man?
don't know, man. It was very tasty.
It just didn't die.
We removed the head and like.
Well, then it was dead.
Well,
Oh.
it was hanging upside
Did you
down.
hear the story?
now we got to hear it.
Okay.
I think reptiles are just like that. I mean, they're interesting. I shot a rattlesnake one time right in the dome, and like hours later, it's still trying to strike at me, like weird stuff.
What? Seriously?
Well, of course, Mark Boardman. I mean, just.
Did you stand next to it then after you shot it for like a couple hours? Or did
No,
you like
I was
take it?
I was I was carrying it back with me.
Gonna consume it?
No,
Self-defense.
What were you
at
gonna
the
do?
time,
Yeah, was
I
it kind of
didn't-
like
at
a
the time I didn't know you could even eat the darn
He's
thing.
gonna make a
Like a-
headband.
yeah?
Very crocodile
I'm
Dundee
just
of you.
saying they're a little bit bizarre in their ability to
Here's
stuff.
Here's the
You're
long
getting fired up.
post-mortem.
You're
yeah.
fired up.
Here's the
I'm
long and
almost
short
a
of it.
little. I'm a little nervous. Sitting
I'm a
here.
little nervous.
That's the energy.
I don't
drink.
like it, and it's me.
I took a snapping turtle. It was a large, a grande, to quote Mark Boardman, large snapping turtle
See,
on turtle opener, and we did not have a reliable method to dispatch the turtle. We came up with a ball peen hammer, which, well, you know what though, it was a good strike, and I thought for sure that was ethical and it worked, and that was a dead turtle, and so we continued on. We were actually arrowing carp and buffalo out of a small pond. And it was some time later, the turtle like came back to life in the boat, which was a kind of a doozy. So then we left and it was in the back of the truck, and then it came back to life in the back of the truck. And it just kind of kept getting worse and worse. We got home. I removed the head with a fillet knife, and then hung the turtle upside down. At the time, I think somebody told me it's customary to, quote, bleed them out that way. And this turtle hung there for some time, like hours. And then I came back out to de-shell and then kind of clean the turtle. And so I had the small little Rapala 7-inch fillet knife, and I started to poke between the junction of like the shell and the skin at like the shoulder. And the nub, that was the neck, smacked me in the hand.
Holy
And
cow.
it scared me so much. I like threw my hands up and like let out a very high pitched scream and dropped the knife. And I didn't understand what happened. And so then I just worked around the backside of the turtle until.
Was it still like
Oh, that thing! Like if I touched it, it would move. And it had no head. And
That's
it was,
so strange.
it was a little
I mean,
different.
I think it's important to point out, like, the turtle was cleanly dispatched off the go. It just
No doubt.
Yeah, it's just there's something.
Wow.
They got like a second. There's like there's
and a
another.
third?
I've heard
There's
I've heard
another
people
turtle
say
in there.
reptile brain. And that
that's what I was
means-
gonna say, like prehistoric.
Yeah.
That is insane.
They got two souls.
I'm going to tell you this. We ate that turtle later, and it was exceptional. It was
Still
so good.
kicking.
I cannot bring myself, I don't think anyway. Maybe if like, of course, barring a survival situation or a scenario in which the consumption of protein was required to live, I could certainly bring myself to dispatch another turtle. If you invited me and I'm like, hey, we're going turtle gigging, I'm not doing it. I just can't. It hurts my heart. But that's different
Than sturgeon.
And sturgeon.
And like old sturgeon. Sometimes I think about it's like, man,
The
that's
cool thing.
Dude, that's what. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the cool thing about sturgeon in Wisconsin is we are, and I don't know what the like stat figure is, but we're the only state in the United States that has a regulated season of this size. Like I think Minnesota is like the second, like the has a second like biggest sturgeon spearing season, and you can spear like 6. I could be wrong on that.
I've never done it. That's
When are people spearing these things? Like right now?
Next weekend. It's the what is it? The second weekend in January always. So it's going to be, I think February 9th is our opener.
It's a big deal. A lot of people turn out
huge.
for it.
It is. I mean, last
Very
year was
cultural.
the first, yeah. In that Lake Winnebago area, it is unbelievable. All the it's got to be huge for the economy. It's a huge get together. The season stops the day stops at 1 p.m. You can't be spearing after 1. So everyone flocks to the bars and stuff. It's a very social thing. It's really cool.
Do any other lakes get sturgeon spearing, or is it only Winnebago?
It's just Winnebago and then the upriver streams that come out of Winnebago.
Now, is that because it's regulated that way, or those are the only lakes with sturgeon in them?
No, there are sturgeon in other lakes and in like the Wisconsin River, Mississippi River and stuff. But from my understanding, Winnebago is like the most managed like fishery for them.
Okay.
I don't know how it all works out or anything.
Do they have like I know, and I'm going off memory here because I was looking at it, but like we have a hook and line season.
Yeah.
I believe the month of September-ish on the Wisconsin River. Is there a hook and line on Winnebago?
Man, I can't say for certain, but I believe there is. I do believe that applies to Winnebago. I could be totally wrong.
What do they eat like? I've never had sturgeon.
They're really good.
Okay.
I gotta look up what
the big thing for me was
like.
people harvest
cool
the
fish.
caviar out of them.
Yep.
That was unreal. Like
I'm
never,
sure.
And I mean, that's what caviar traditionally is
Yeah.
sturgeon from Russia.
and I had never known that until last year.
That is a crazy looking fish.
That's a
They
dinosaur.
literally are a dinosaur. Yeah.
Dude.
We're talking like super prehistoric, like doesn't even have a traditional
This guy,
spinal cord.
This guy has a video catching one. It looks like an alligator is coming up.
Let's
to
see
him.
it.
Look,
Yeah,
Holy
that looks like
cow.
a straight up gator.
that's a big old
Yeah.
sturgeon.
And you're totally right. I mean, it's all cartilage.
Yep,
They're like part shark.
Yep,
Oh,
Yeah.
they are. They're,
What's the deal with them? They don't have any. What now?
What do they call it? A nodal cord?
Oh yeah, they have
Wow.
like a cord instead of like a spine or what?
Correct. Yeah, like a central cord. That
Weird.
Yeah. So
But
we've got
cool,
them.
but
We've got them in the
super cool.
Wisconsin, right not far from Vortex, below the Sauk Dam,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've been down there in the spring of the year, and early summer, and I've seen them surface and then go down, and you see like tail fins come out of the water. That you're like, well, that's got to be a shark. That's the only reasonable explanation for the size of that tail fin. Huge fish, and guys catch them down there too. But I think it's an incidental catch. It's not like they can
Right.
Yeah, you
fish
get
for
it.
'em. Right.
Can you imagine catching and releasing something that's like the size of you?
Well, and if you want to see some,
gotta throw this thing back. Let me just bear hug it. And
so San Francisco Bay has enormous sturgeon. Dudes down there catch like 10+ foot long sturgeon. And then where Mark's from, how far did you have to go to get into the big 8-footers and 10-footers?
Oh, just a few hours. Yeah. So I mean, we didn't go a ton, but we'd go like on the Columbia, like below Bonneville Dam. Like a really cool fishery out there is to go out during the shad run,
Yep.
and then catch shad for bait, and then fish for.
Now is
for
that
big
is that a
sturgeon.
white sturgeon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And 8 foot's a big one.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. You look back in historic photos, and guys used to drag them out of the river with teams of horses. Back in the day.
What?
But yeah, I mean, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 foot
Or bigger.
fish are
Yeah.
totally possible. So
weird,
That
man.
is unreal.
If you were in the water and would they like get after you like a shark or no?
They
actually-
eat mollusks and worms and
got a big sucker mouth on
yeah,
them.
very
They do.
simple mouth, almost like a fixed jaw, and then they've got like instead of rows of teeth like a regular fish has, like a pulverizing or crunching.
like a bird. Or no,
Well,
that's not right. Birds
no,
don't have that.
I don't know. I mean,
What the heck? No, that's
like
I
a
think
big-
worms have that.
like a sucker fish almost.
Kind
It's
of,
like
yeah.
a glorified
I'm
big
just making up
carp.
stuff apparently.
right.
Here.
Well, if you've
Like
never
bird. No
if you've
worms.
never
no
seen,
dog.
Jim, did you have an energy drink?
You would think so.
if you've never
I think
seen
it's just
one,
sitting
like it's a
next to
very
you.
alien looking thing, especially
Yeah.
if you're not familiar with aquatic life. You're like, the hell is that?
Ugh.
Right. But they've got a very interesting mouth, and it kind of fits what they eat. So yeah, but they're not like a traditional predatory fish. They're not like
So you wouldn't worry about all of a sudden some sturgeon coming up with crazy eyes. And
They're not
eating your
going
leg.
no. I mean, it
take
might
your leg off.
yeah, it might get your foot in its mouth, and you're like, oh, that's uncomfortable. But,
Yeah.
Depending on what you're into.
right.
We can post a link to that video too. Like that was Jake from the hunting public that speared that thing.
Oh, heck
man.
yeah, that'd
so
be cool.
it's super cool. We'll post
should.
that.
And
I'll bring in I got some pictures tomorrow. I'll bring one in, and like you can really see the mouth and how it works.
from that one you caught, I saw that picture. That's a big fish.
It wasn't a giant one, but it was a little over 7 feet.
Oh,
Let me,
my gosh.
okay, let me ask you this:
That's
when you're
not it's not
spearing,
huge. I mean, it's bigger than an NBA player.
Well,
but
in the grand scheme of
Oh, yeah.
sturgeon.
how do
Like
you
Yao
get a
Ming,
big fish like that? How do you get a big fish like that up through your tiny hole? I
It's a
was
big
trying
hole,
to,
I mean.
yeah, I was trying to make that sound less potentially. Okay, so it's a big hole. When you're spearing it though, you're kind of like, isn't that like trying to fit a giant banana through a doorway the wrong way though? When you spear it sideways and you try and bring it up through the,
Basically,
you gotta like fold it a little bit.
you gotta like gaff it. So you have one guy that has it speared, and then you have another guy that gaffs it either in the gill or in the tail. So
Okay.
one of the ends, and then you pull them through like lengthwise rather than sideways banana.
All right.
I've
That's
never,
interesting.
like I said, I've never speared sturgeon. I have speared northern pike, and I did not know what to expect. We're getting probably a little off topic, but I did not know what to expect.
The whole thing
when I
is
did
off
it.
top. The whole.
Jim just wanted to get me riled up.
No,
right
you
off
know
the
what I wanted to
get-go.
do? I wanted to have a podcast episode that we could just call utter nonsense.
Done.
Fair enough. Mission accomplished.
My very good friend from back home invited me spearing, and he's a fanatic about this. Like, they build their own spears and their own dark houses, and they're very particular about their decoys. He hand builds his own decoys and how they swim, and it's just very interesting.
Whoa.
And and so we're in this dark house, and I mean, I understood the concept. I'm from Minnesota, so I'm an ice fisherman, and I always saw spear houses out there. Never really got in one. And then here we are, sitting in probably like 5 to 7 feet of water, spearing for pike, and he's explaining on what kind of pike to pass.
You're not in the water, are you?
No. You're in the little dark house, sitting on a bucket, looking down.
Oh, but underneath you is fine.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Correct. And then the spear is hanging from a small hook in the ceiling, and this is very much like a predator prey thing. So you're absolutely still gazing down into this hole for, like Erik said, hours, and no noise, nothing, very slow, deliberate movement, and in comes a pike, and the pike that I speared on the first time I did this was like 34, 36 inches long. It's a pretty good pike, right? Good eater. And it came in, and it's like observing the decoy, and you just see its head kind of come through the little crack there, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you reach and you like grab onto your spear and you like lift it up and you unhook it from the ceiling thing. And then he's like, you just take it and you just kind of drop it straight down.
Oh, you don't like.
No, it's not like I am Ahab, you know.
Okay.
It's just kind of a deliberate drop, and I pinned that thing down to the ground, and it was like heart was going wild.
What's the decoy, by the way, too? So northern pike, they go for
predatory fish.
Okay, so it's going for meat.
Yep, and so we made this, or he made this decoy, and it looks like some sort of other fish. And every so often you take it, and the decoy's on a string too, and you kind of like pull the string, and the decoy goes whoosh around the little opening, and the pike come in. So we saw a whole bunch of fish come in that day. He was in a different spear house. I was in a different spear house. I think all in all we killed like 4 fish or something. I don't know. That's cool. It was neat. It's very exciting. But this is different than baiting a deer.
No, but this sounds tough.
It is.
No, so that to me seems like the more challenging way of going after fish. It's like spearing it or bow shooting it. What the heck did you shoot?
Bow fishing.
Bow fishing. Yeah, there you go. Bow fishing.
I'll tell you this.
Or just catching it with your bare hands.
Right. I'll tell you, it was way more stimulating than bobber fishing for muskies in Canada.
Okay.
That is as dull as it gets.
You just sit.
I wish my old man never would have said, "Oh, come muskie fishing." Bobber fishing for muskies.
Did you catch one?
No, absolutely not. Just awful.
I think it sounds fun.
I used to film deer hunts, and I've never double punched on a deer or anything like that. Like, never got so excited that I like blacked out and didn't know what to do. But when Jake speared that sturgeon, I was trying to film the process of him getting it out of the hole. I double punched, not one, two. It's broken into 25 different clips because I panicked and just kept hitting record. Like I was having an out of body.
Okay.
Not one, not two,
25. Like it is unbelievable. It's unusable. It's just 1 second clip, 1 second clip, 1 second clip.
Well, gee, man, I'd be nervous to have you in the hut with me. There's a giant hole that goes into icy cold water, and you're blacking out over there.
Oh, I was totally blacked.
Just completely unpredictable.
Just in. There goes Erik.
Man, yeah. And
tie rope around him.
They also say when you're supposed to be like really subtle and like secretive because there's shanties and dark houses everywhere. We busted out the door. We had this thing on the ground. Everyone's hooting and hollering. And,
I think
is that to like not spook fish for other people?
No, it's not. So people steal your spot.
Oh, come on.
Jeez Louise.
Whoa, hey, that's my spot.
Dude, I'm all about keeping people out of my spots, but I'm not sure that's
Let me ask, when you look at a lake, I think I've said let me ask you this a ton of times on this podcast. I apologize. When you look at a lake, how do you know where your spot? I mean, unless it's really close to the shore, it's just a big giant a frozen water desert.
Well, I mean, you can have maps, lake maps.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get it.
or you might have a spot that you've fished over with your sonar, and you know exactly what's going on underneath there. I don't know what it takes to find a good sturgeon spearing spot.
Like they'll go out and they'll drop a Vex flyer down there, an Aquaview. Yeah.
Well, in case people haven't noticed by now, my fishing experience is basically nil. I've caught some suckers, I've caught some bluegill, and I've done that whole thing. But
I mean, that's
I had no idea what I was doing.
That's like fish hunting.
Caught an 18-inch.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Like if you told me like Ryan, go set out and catch a fish. Okay, well that's pretty easy. But if you said Ryan, go out and kill a sturgeon, I'd be like, wow,
yeah,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
Speaking of sturgeon, though, and we're talking about bait fishing, there's certain types of fish that you're really only going to catch with bait, and I would throw sturgeon on that list. I don't know.
So wait, there is bait when you're sturgeon?
Well, if you're fishing.
Oh, if you're fishing.
If not spear fishing, but yeah.
Okay.
Like guys will use, any number of things. Herring, roe, shrimp, worms.
Crawler harnesses.
Yeah. Shad, like I said.
It seems to me like, though, the more... Is it the more challenging or sportsman... I'm totally going to make people mad, but I'm just doing it for fun. Is it the more challenging or sportsman-like thing to do it, though, like spearfishing? Than just
I don't know.
Than baiting fish?
It's technical fishing. Yeah. It's very technical fishing.
I'm totally, And like I said, I'm just totally...
And on the Columbia, you better have your you-know-what together, because that's a big river taking big gear. You need to know how to handle your
here's
boat.
what I'm doing. I'm baiting you right now because I want to get Mark into the same conversation we had before, where it somehow got into muzzleloader fishing.
Well,
muzzleloader, smoke pole fishing.
So is this? I mean,
because you started talking about last time we brought this up. Because I brought up, I was like, oh well, I think the only ethical way to, get fish is with a bow, a spear, or your bare hands. And I was egging you on. And then you were like, oh, something about shooting fish in a barrel. And then somehow we got talking about shooting fish with guns, which is a thing. Some people do. I don't think it's legal.
Well, hold on. Hold the phone.
Hold the phone. Hold it.
Hold the spear. So, and I'm going off an article. Hold the magazine. It's all you had.
Yeah.
An article I read a long time ago, and I don't have recent documentation on this. Maybe we need to call this podcast like Weird Forms of Fishing.
Is it about alligator gar?
No, it's about a rifle pike season in Vermont.
Whoa. Yeah, no, I remember you looking that up, and
you talk about
rifle fishing
tradition, like maybe in modern fishing, whatever practices.
Was this
fish
gun?
guns?
Was this
spearing
a
sturgeon?
thing?
Yeah, spearing sturgeon is probably.
I think
I could see people being like frowning upon it, right? Like, wow, this is a big time game fish. Should we be doing that? But there's a storied history to this practice in Wisconsin.
Sure.
A lot, like Erik said, there's a lot of tradition there.
Huge conservation.
Here we go. How to
aspect.
catch fish in Vermont? No bait, no tackle, just bullets. The New York Times. Is that the one you were reading?
That's probably one I was looking at. But I read an article about. Dude, I want to say it was I think it was American Hunter magazine,
Magnum.
Decade ago.
Probably more than.
I think I read that same article as a kid and not conceptualizing what
Fish
was
shooting is a sport in Vermont, and every spring hunters break out their artillery, high caliber pistols, shotguns, even AK-47s. and head to the marshes to exercise their right to bear arms against fish.
When do we go?
We're not turkey hunting this spring
sounds
anymore.
interesting. And see, that's where we got into talking about, Mark, you were saying that if anything is potentially, and like, okay, how many caveats do I have to say? I want to caveat this yet again. We're not.
All the caveats.
This podcast is called Utter Nonsense or whatever it's called for a reason.
Parentheses caveat.
Parentheses caveat. Or because we're just bringing up goofy questions. So it's just stuff to get you thinking while you're on your drive to work or from work.
That's or at work.
That's it. If you do any of these things, more power to you. As long as it's legal, all those things, manage, whatever. But, okay, so anyways, you were telling me, though, if anything could be potentially construed as unethical for fishing or unsportsmanlike or whatever, it would be shooting fish with a gun.
Yeah.
But I don't think so. Because there's all that. I mean, you think about when you aim at a fish and it's in the water.
Refraction.
There's the refraction. It's not gonna be exactly where you think it is. So you gotta account for that. And then, though I was saying if you bring out like an AK-47, it sounds like, then you can just and you can shoot a bunch, and then you maybe are guaranteed or roughly, you're just easier to shoot. So that's where I came up with, what if there was a muzzleloader fish hunting season?
Okay, but then I also brought up, and this is all speculative. I haven't rifle hunted pike yet. But
do you know, are they for sure going for pike?
So my thought is, you get one shot, and if you hit anywhere near that fish but miss that fish, it is out of there before you even have time to send another round downrange.
Dude, I don't know, get Jerry Mitchell out there with his crazy trigger finger.
No, here's what I think. So back in my hometown, Hutchinson, Minnesota, there's a lake called Swan Lake. It's actually closer to Silver Lake than it is Hutchinson. But if you go on, it's Vale Avenue, and you run Vale straight, you'll drive off like a cliff into the lake because it turns right. And every spring...
This isn't going to get into the issue of
that's
my spot, is it?
Man.
Okay.
No. Every spring, I would go there. I used to go with a gal that lived near there. Every spring, we'd go and we'd stand on that cliff and we'd look down into Swan, and you would see pike running the shallows in the spring after ice out. So the water's no deeper than about a foot and a half. And so these northerns would come there. And later on, like into the early summer, there'd be mama ducks and there'd be baby ducks.
Oh, man.
And you want to see something sad, it's predatory fish hunting ducklings. Now,
circle of life.
It's a circle of life. Yeah, you're true. It's so true.
It is.
Dang, they are cute.
It is, man. And actually, there was a couple companies that made duckling lures.
Yeah. I've seen them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. I have saved a couple ducklings in my day by tossing rocks down at Pike.
Really?
Just trying to kind of shoo them off. Here's what happens. That rock hits that water, big splash. Pike jettisons out of there, goes about 30 feet and stops. I don't think the pike has a concept of where the shot came from or what that shot was. He's just like, nope, I'm okay. And he's just done. So
not dead.
If you were to shoot at pike and you had a good vantage and you were in shallow enough water, I believe that you'd have the opportunity for a follow-up shot shortly thereafter.
So then thus brings up smoke pole fishing.
Disagree.
I think if you were going to increase your odds, you'd shoot a muzzleloader because
you
remember Mythbusters, that great show on the Discovery Channel?
Yeah.
They tested this.
So were you talking about when they talk about how like a bullet, as soon as it impacts water, it's going so fast it's like hitting concrete?
Yep.
Now,
but if you shot yourself a nice like a 36, you find yourself a TC Seneca on Gunbroker.
What's that?
It's a small caliber muzzleloader, percussion cap ignited.
Dude, in essence, it's like throwing a gun spear.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Are we really doing this? Because I'm kind of like, if I had to justify the purchase of a 31 or a 36 caliber muzzleloader, this is pretty much it. It's for sure.
Well, Vermont apparently still
my fish.
But this article is from 2004.
Are you sure though? The one I'm reading is from 2004.
Oh, I stand corrected.
It is an interesting thought though to go. So let's say Oh man, where am I going in utter nonsense right now?
Well, here I got something.
Send it.
I've got another defense to fishing with bait. I think bait fishing oftentimes can be some of the most technical types of fishing a person can do.
Talk about it. I think that's awesome.
Okay, I'll take my home state of Washington. Drift fishing for steelhead is a very common practice, and it's actually doesn't describe necessarily that you're actually physically drifting to catch the steelhead, even though a lot of people do that, and they perform this style of fishing sometimes from a drift boat, I guess.
Wait, no.
But it involves a technical rig where you have essentially your main line, a weight of some sort, either a slinky or a piece of lead core. A slinky would be a piece of like paracord where you have put in, you can buy them pre-made or make them yourself. Pro tip here, if you are going to make them yourself, a McDonald's straw.
What the hell kind of slinky is Mark playing with?
Killing turtles?
Dude, I'm not making a turtle trap.
All right.
So you don't end up, you're using it to facilitate the transfer of essentially lead BBs into the center of a piece of paracord.
I want to stop for a second. Mark's slinkies. Dude, your Christmas has sucked. Your parents got you a slinky that was a McDonald's straw. You got hosed.
My slinkies were made of lead. Is that bad?
You got hosed. Okay, proceed.
Explain.
So I don't know if I'm drawing a clear picture. If anybody's listening out there, Google it. It's called a slinky. It's a form.
You try and get lead BBs into the center of paracord.
Yes, and
so
that
the paracord thus becomes a lot more
weighted line.
Stiff. Yeah, weighted. Okay.
So it's weighted. So it's going to hang off. Like you got your main line. Some sort of swivel system. You can do it a couple different ways. One way is just to use a regular snap swivel, and you tie your main line to the one eye of the snap swivel, let the actual snap hang down. You hook your slinky onto that snap, and then you tie your leader onto the the other
other part of the swivel,
the other eye. Which you're going to get some movement from. Potentially wear on your knot doing it that way. And then you have your leader where you have some sort of probably a drift bobber, like a little corky, maybe a little piece of yarn, other thing. Anyway, very technical type of fishing. Lots of gear involved.
Yeah.
And also a lot of feel, finesse, and technique. What you're trying to do is get a very natural, drag-free drift along the bottom. You're river fishing, right? And that weight needs to be such that it's not hanging up, but is bumping the bottom and contacting the bottom periodically. And then, essentially while you're fishing in this way, I mean, at least for me personally, it's been a while since I've, done it, but you're almost visualizing what's happening. You're almost like, visualizing what's going on in the water. You're feeling that tick, tick,
very
tick,
finesse.
tick,
and it's the difference between a fish bite and a rock.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
The difference between a fish bite and a rock, and sometimes the absence of any feel.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Weight falls. So this is a very similar fishing style to bottom bouncing, as it's often called.
That's what I was going to say.
While fishing for walleyes.
Okay.
And to accentuate Mark's statement of technical, I reminisce about my father rigging up crawler harnesses on bottom bouncers and Lindy rigs on bottom bouncers. Yep. We would fish Mille Lacs Lake or Leech Lake or Lake of the Woods or Cabotogama a couple times a year. And this was like a pilgrimage for my father. And he would rig these things for hours, for seemingly weeks, if not months before the fishing thing. And like you just did not go into the Four Season porch because Dad's rigging up crawler harnesses, Lindy rigs, and bottom bouncers. Don't go in there. Don't touch any of his stuff. Don't ask him. It's just better that way. And then you get into the boat. And you take that, you drop your line, and you sit there and you back troll for ever.
What's back trolling?
So instead of moving your boat forward, like bow forward.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep, you back troll, right?
Popper in R.
Yep. And
very slowly.
Yes.
So, and you're doing this in the river then?
No, this is on a lake, but same concept. You're feeling, like you said, I really like the way you painted that. You're visualizing, and you do, like you get yourself in a place where you're sitting there fishing, holding on to this, like picturing that weight springing off the bottom and that stinger hook, double hook crawler harness.
Well, and you can also sense what kind of bottom you're in.
Yep.
Okay, rock, mud, whatever.
What's the thing on the bottom? Is the thing on the bottom the hook that's eventually going to get the fish, or is that thing on the bottom a weight?
It's a weight on a wire. So imagine like a piece of fairly heavy gauged wire that's got like an egg-shaped weight about 3/4 of the way up.
Okay.
The bottom of that acts as like a spring. It hits the bottom rock or whatever, and it keeps it from burying itself in the mud. Attached to that, like Mark said, is a swivel with a long cordage. Is that
okay,
I'm following
you.
Okay.
Bottom
a little
bouncer.
bit.
So this is how it's pictured. Like, so that's the bottom, that's the weight, and then your bait is off this way. So it's being drugged this way. This is perpendicular to the bottom. Your bait floats parallel to the bottom, about 8-9 inches off the bottom. And if you run a float, maybe 18 inches off the bottom.
Sure.
Okay, and you run like a leech rig or a double hooked crawler harness. And your fish bites the bait. Your weight or your bottom bouncer is something completely different. It's being drug along by the leader. But like Mark said,
what's the point of the bottom bouncer if the bait's just following along behind it?
You have to get the bait down for proper presentation to the fish that typically hang out in that like area in the water.
Like when they're tight to the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it has to stay there and not get snagged on rocks or anything like that. Like, that keeps you from getting stuck and keeps your bait in presentation.
Oh, I see. So it's how you would. Okay, yeah, I get it.
It's presentation.
The delivery device.
Yes.
Or one of them.
Because it's not just like throw it out like bloop, sinks to the bottom. You're like jig, jig, jig. Fish is like, hey, look at that, snacks.
Right. It's going for something that looks like it's swimming along.
Correct.
Hanging out.
So visualizing, that's a very good way to.
What kind of slithery creatures are you going for when you fish this way?
Walligators.
Oh, you already said that. My bad.
What are you going
for? What are you going for in your Washington River?
Generally, I'd say salmon and steelhead. And I'll say this: a lot of guys will fish this method, without bait too. You can just have the little corky, you can have a little piece of yarn, but oftentimes it's done.
Look at that! So there you go, fishing without bait.
Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity
baiter
fisher person. Not what Erik said. So I'm just saying you can do it with or without a lot of, or oftentimes it's like a little corky and a piece, a little some roe. Actually, that's one thing that's very different about the roe. I'm sidetracking here.
The whole thing's a sidetrack.
People in Wisconsin, and I think it might have to do with just the state of maturity of when the fish are caught. But like on the West Coast, like the roe, you get the roe out of a salmon or steelhead or something like that. And it's all together in the skein. And then you cure it and you can chop it up into little, clusters, if you will, like a little ball. But here it's all very loose and people make roe sacks. So which is like a fine mesh lacy netting that you tie around a loose roe, like almost like a bunch of single eggs together. I don't know. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, why is it? Is the maturity of the fish at the point in which the roe is harvested, or is it like something to do with?
Yeah, I don't know if they're just the fish that people generally get here are super ripe. And then the other thing is, I wonder if you caught a salmon or a steelhead in the lake, are they still that loose? I don't know. Question. Whoever has the answer,
please write in.
Please comment below. Let us know.
Jim, I got a question for you because I think I know where you're going.
It.
Is fishing with an artificial bait better or worse?
I'm glad you asked that question. Okay. I have no idea.
Okay.
It would seem to me to be worse.
Worse?
Interesting. Do you know that there are birds that
why you got to judge?
Because at some okay, here's
why are you
the
being
deal.
so judgy?
No, I'm not judging anybody, all right? That's the thing, Mark. But I'm just posing these questions.
Sounds like you're judging.
This is just like one big antagonist.
Let me ask you.
No, I'll say it again. Look, what am I at? Like 6 times now caveating?
12.
12? I think fishing is awesome. When I've fished in the past, I fished with bait.
Did you want more though? Were you like, this is unethical?
I wasn't. I wasn't feeling conflicted. But it did occur. I thought it was kind of funny when I thought about it the other day. Right. I was like, huh.
So here's my question.
All right, but artificial bait versus real bait.
Yeah.
My thought was that when you asked me that question was that the reason why I just said, well, it seemed to me to be worse to do artificial bait or whatever. I just thought because, if you're really trying to get into like this caveman-esque, back to basics, primal, well, you had to pick worms out of the dirt or, catch something else to then catch something else. That was where I was coming from.
Okay.
But
so the use of bait in fishing, I mean, it like goes hand in hand. This is a being that lives in a completely different universe, the fish, right?
Yeah, you have to somehow.
He has no reason to be in your parallel, right? Like fish don't belong out of water, you don't belong in it. So you have to find some way to entice the fish.
You have to find the Chronicles of Narnia wardrobe.
Pretty much.
And
the
that
Stargate.
Wardrobe is the bait that you're
The
fishing with.
Stargate,
That's
right.
the Stargate, and it brings a fish into our world.
There are birds that have learned to use bait to catch fish.
Explain.
I think it's green herons or night herons or some kind of heron. Will get small pieces of things that look like food items, like insects or bread, and they'll put it on the surface, and the heron, a predatory bird, will lie perched above the surface of the water and wait for a fish to come up to bite and then strike. There have even been documented instances of dogs doing this to catch fish.
What?
Yes. They will take and they will place bait on the surface for fish to entice fish and then catch them.
It's brilliant.
It is. It's pretty brilliant. But I think that's just how fish goes. Now,
Yeah.
backing up, baiting deer.
Yeah.
There's other ways to kill deer, and it doesn't involve bait.
They're in our world.
They are.
We don't have to go through the wardrobe or the Stargate
You can stalk them.
or through the Kansas tornado.
You can ambush them.
Yeah.
You can even sit from far, far away and just see them and shoot them. Baiting a deer removes a lot of the. I really don't want to get anybody mad. I've got a buddy of mine, deer hunting partner, lives in New Jersey. Bait is a way of life out there.
Right.
Because everyone's doing it.
Correct. Like he whacks monster bucks, hunts often, hard, all the time. Dude puts in dozens of days a year. He will listen to this and he will text me and be like, "Why you call me out like that?" But they use bait, and it's like a super foreign concept to me because that's an offense in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
Like if you bait a deer,
When you say offense, you talking about like
that's a
like
a violation
like
of
actually
law.
illegal. Oh, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
If
It's
you
not
bait
just
a
like
deer.
if you walked into Wisconsin with a Minnesota Vikings shirt on.
No.
That's an offense.
Right.
But it's not like you're not actually going to get tossed in the
it is
slammer.
it is violation of law to bait a deer during hunting seasons with the intent of killing a deer.
Does he hunt over the bait, or is he?
Yeah.
He is.
Yep.
Okay. Because I've also heard about like people out east. Because from my understanding, I have a buddy that lives in Pennsylvania, and he said the same thing. Like everyone out there baits, and maybe he's in whatever, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. I don't know where he is. He's somewhere out east. But everyone baits, and my understanding was like everyone has permission on like 10 acres. The tracts of land are very much smaller than like we have here.
Okay.
So like what he was saying is like that he found that his most effective strategy was having that bait out but not hunting over it because he thought that the deer were getting smart to the bait. So he would try and hunt, intercepting them from wherever they're bedding as they're going to the bait.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So that's why I was curious about that.
So same thing applies to like waterfowl too. You can't hunt a bait for waterfowl.
You can bait waterfowl? What would you bait them with?
Corn. You can't.
You can't.
Right.
Dude, what is
That's
it
a federal
about?
thing.
What is it about creatures of the earth and corn?
Oh, I don't know.
They
We
love
love corn, fish love corn, birds love corn, deer love corn.
We were having this discussion in the cafeteria today. Corn is a GMO. So there was somebody talking about like a GMO, non-GMO antibiotic. Like corn itself is a GMO. Like it doesn't really exist. We made it exist.
What about that Indian corn that, I'm sorry if I offended anybody, I don't know any other name for it, but you know, the purple and white and red stuff, is that real?
Well, it is, but it's a genetically modified product.
Even that stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, original corn is like, in its most prehistoric sense, doesn't look like corn. It looks more like wheat than it does corn.
Oh.
And then, through, eons and eons and eons of early civilizations cultivating and genetically selecting good plants and bad plants, we ended up with corn.
Yeah. Just like people do with dog breeds.
Yes.
So like my dog, Gordon Setter, is like a GMO.
Right.
That's what you're saying.
I think about this.
Genetically modified dog.
So we think about like
GMD.
Especially like buddies of mine that are like hardcore Canada goose hunters. Like that's a subculture within the hunting world. Like Canada goose hunters. What did Canada geese do before there was cornfields? Where would you have even tried to hunt them?
Right.
That's a doozy. But baiting deer, no way, not for me.
Not for you.
But I
It's
think. Go ahead.
You go.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean,
you're saying a lot of weird stuff.
You look at
aliens.
I'll borrow what I think is like a Steve Rinella term, where most of my good ideas come from. You look at historic use practices.
Yourself a little credit.
Well, thank you, Jim. But I think you look at historic use, right? And or practices. Like there's some states where baiting deer is a way of life.
Yeah,
there's some states where it's a game violation. I mean, if you went to Texas, I'm not dogging on Texas at all, but if you all of a sudden said you can't bait deer, people would
be up in arms.
Yeah.
Look at you funny.
And it's hard to say like straight up that's wrong. I mean, I know where you're coming from, Ryan, where you say it's not for you, because it's not for me either personally. But you look at it and you got to think like people always go back to like, it almost seems as though when people want to talk about what's right and what's wrong, a lot of times people go back to prehistoric times. I would have a hard time saying that prehistoric people didn't figure out that
easiest way to kill something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they got to eat.
I'm going to tell you right now, I went bow hunting for the first time out west this year. I'd be one dead SOB if I had to go shoot a deer with a bow out there, man. I'd have died after, I don't know how long I could have survived with no food, but
conversely, though, I hunted bears over bait, partially did a mixed spot and stalk and bait hunt last spring. Didn't get one.
My question with the bait,
so it's not a guarantee,
right?
The baiting deer versus baiting fish thing is, I wonder if it's not a visual thing.
Oh, if you can't see it,
like
count.
like when you're talking about bottom bouncing for walleyes, like you're just sitting there, you don't see anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you're like fishing smallies on the beds, in the summer,
How
you
do
can
feel
like
about that?
Hey, that's another ethics question.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I brought it up.
That's where you're on the dock and you just drop in a lure, and all of a sudden all the fish are kind of like, oh, that looks tasty.
You're looking for them on their beds.
Oh, you're not even.
Which
like,
is where
you're seeing them. They're in the shallows. It's like, I don't know, right around like Memorial Day weekend.
I was say late May, early June.
Yeah, you can get these bass on the beds, and they're extremely territorial because they, that's where they're hanging out, and anything that comes through that bed, like they're gonna snap at it.
Okay.
So that's why it's like an ethical dilemma. They're so vulnerable. You can essentially just cruise a shoreline of any lake in northern Wisconsin or wherever, insert state here, and just one after another pull them off the bed.
Grandpa had a rule. You don't do that.
Yeah.
When the sunnies and the crappies were on beds, they had like a gravel bottom on his lake. No, you don't fish there. Go fish over there. If you catch one there, throw it back. Yeah. And he was like the first guy to fill a fish basket. You just don't do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that's a very visual thing. Like you can see them, whereas like, so that's why I brought it up. Like the baiting thing for bottom bouncing for walleyes, it's, you're just going off what you see on your locator,
right.
But this is like, so you pointed out that fish, you could throw a jig, you could throw a Rapala, whatever, insert lure here, you throw it through it, you're hammering that fish.
Now, are you also connecting that to deer where it's like a visual thing where do you feel weird when you watch a deer go into bait?
Kind of. Yes.
Or is it just strange because it's not its natural?
It's not like
thing?
it's.
Just imagine going out there with a big old sack of corn and cutting that, just dumping that golden goodness on the ground, and then crawling up in that stand and just waiting for big gnarly buck to come out and just be like, okay, 2 more steps, put your head down, crunch, 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 crunch. Oh, okay.
Yep.
And if it were The Walking Dead, I will say if it were The Walking Dead and I just like was gonna die if I didn't get a deer, then I'd probably
100%.
I'd do it.
Yeah.
And again, it's a statement I'm making out of ignorance. I've never bait hunted for deer because I lived in a state where
I think part of the thing is too is that when you hunt for deer, and we know that if we don't get a deer, we can go to the grocery store and buy some chicken.
That's true.
Here's a question.
So if like the reason we hunt deer, well, I'm not saying that people who
food plot versus bait.
Oh, I saw that actually recently.
That's a real thing,
like
man.
An article.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Food plot or corn?
I mean,
pile?
anybody
You
who's
get guys that they call it a kill plot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, people who put the work in, to cultivate the land and grow something in there that's an attractant to the deer. It's a lot of work. I've put in food plots. I've dug ponds. It's a pain, and whether it's fruitful or not, I think is in the eye of the beholder. I think if you got a really good food plot in an area and you don't got any other food, you're probably going to have deer on it. I grew up in farm country, like there's corn and bean fields everywhere. Yeah. Putting a food plot in was probably an exercise in futility. Like at the end of the day, it's like I just put a tiny bean field in the middle of some woods surrounded by bean fields.
Mm-hmm. When we talked to Jeff Sturgis about that a little bit, my mind kind of changed to that whole idea. So at first, I remember saying I talked to you guys like that's weird.
Yeah,
it's like a pet. You're feeding like a pet. If I wanted to hunt my dog, I would sit right next to the food bowl, and at 5:30 p.m., she'd be dinner.
Wow, it's got dark.
I'm not gonna do that. I like my dog.
I mean, there's just so many little sub things. You got you got a gazillion. A bait pile, and then you've got a food plot, and then you just have general agriculture. I mean, I shot a buck this year that was coming out in cut corn to eat.
Mm-hmm. And did you sit there because you kind of figured like, there's corn here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was corn that bumped up to woods that I knew deer like to hang out in.
So in a lot of it's kind of like there's already corn there and a human put it there.
Right.
That's bait.
And so that's kind of
it's essentially like, I don't know. I mean, would you call that an artificial food source?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we live in
it's all natural.
We live in
modern farming practices.
We live in a highly human influenced world, though.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
everything is.
Well, and they even say there's that theory out there, or I don't know if it's a theory or by now if it's a fact or
I know
whatever.
What you're going to talk about.
But it's basically that there's no such thing as we cannot fathom a piece of the earth or space and time that is unaffected by humans. Because you can't even, let's even say you put a camera out in the middle of the woods and you weren't there, but that camera was there, you changed the woods. But you observing the woods has changed the way that it would have been had you not had a camera there.
Yep.
Or anything that you do to a certain place. Like if you walk through it and then you're not there later on, the fact of you walking through it has altered it.
You've manipulated
You've manipulated just the chi.
I don't know if that's paralyzing or if that's freeing. That's deep, Jim. I want to poke the bear regarding agriculture and deer.
Dude, I love poking bears.
I have a lot of
not literally
very dear friends of mine who God, I can't even believe I'm gonna say this. Who say that wolves are completely the end of deer in Minnesota and Wisconsin. And I would say this. One time, this was last year, I was going up grouse hunting. And so there's like a hard transition line where you're driving from where we are here to the northern part of the state, and then into Minnesota is where I ended up going grouse hunting, where the ag land stops and the timberland starts. And in the fall of the year, if you want to see a very interesting thing, count the number of dead deer you see on the side of the road relative to being in the ag land or out of the ag land into the hardwoods. And when you cross that line where you get out of the ag country or the farmland country and you get into the timber country, it drops dramatically. You go from seeing a dozen deer every dozen miles dead on the side of the road to one every 20 going into that timberland.
So are you saying that some of them deers in the ag country are a little bit more just kind of fat, dumb, and happy?
Well, no, I'm saying that a lot of the guys that are like, there's no deer up here because of wolves are actually not realizing that there's no deer up there because the amount of available food source is drastically limited compared to the ag land. Wait,
what?
So down here in the ag land, like if we can't leave Vortex, if we stood on the roof right now and looked around in a 360-degree circle, we'd see hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of agricultural fields.
Yeah,
it could be full of beans and corn. Huge food sources for deer. So there's hundreds of deer here. Like
more food on the landscape.
So you're saying the thing that's having deer not be as high up in the timberland is the fact that they're leaving the timberland to come to the
carrying capacity.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
There's no ag land up there to like a comparable level of ag land. It's minuscule.
Yeah. But there's still wolves hunting those.
Yeah, there's wolves out there.
Yeah.
But there's been wolves and deer there for millennia. They've been there forever.
True.
Historically speaking, I think we're probably down here for a while. And then the incursion of man pushed them up and out. we noticed this when I used to hunt northern Minnesota for deer. That's kind of where I started hunting whitetail deer. And there were always wolves up there. You heard them at night and you ran into their scat and their tracks, but there was always deer up there too. And there still is, but there's not a lot of ag land, so there's definitely not as many deer. Come down here, ag land aplenty. Oh man, are there tons of deer?
Yep.
Well, I mean,
Are there very many wolves down here though?
no.
What's
There's
the
a
deal
lot
with
of
that?
cats,
Why when wolves come down here, there's like
Cover,
a
I think,
bazillion.
right? So
I think it's a cover.
it's
thing.
a cover thing. Wolves are a pretty secretive critter.
They like trees more than.
I think they like hiding out.
I'll tell you what, I could hide in corn real good.
Right?
I'm about as big as a wolf.
Till it's cut.
Yeah, till it's cut.
Yep.
So
That's a fair point.
I mean, and like
That is a fair point indeed.
just
I totally wrecked my plan.
Jim shows up on Tuesday for his regular corn standing mission. It's gone. He just shoot. I lived in northern Minnesota for a short bit. I never saw a wolf up there during that time. I spent a lot of time like the BWCA and on the North Shore. I go up there quite a bit. I've seen 3 wild timber wolves. There's not a ton of them.
They're spooky creatures.
I
think
don't
they're
know enough
super
about them
freaking
in
cool.
this area.
Would you ever hunt one?
I'd love to. I applied. Minnesota had a season for 2 years. I applied both years and unfortunately got shut down. I'm not a wolf drum beater. Like I do not personally feel that wolves should be eradicated from the scene. I believe they're a vital part of an ecosystem. It's important to have an apex predator. They play a big role and they're a part of our historical landscape. So I am not personally for pitchforks and torches against wolves. But, given a regulated hunt, you bet I'd be all over that.
Sweet.
100%.
I have a question. Kind of what made me think about it is because there's a crowd of people that is the pitchforks and torches, crowd against wolves, and a lot of that crowd is also the same people that are saying that there's no deer in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, Upper Peninsula, stuff like that. Hypothetically, you're hunting a spot that 30 years ago, your dad or your grandpa or whatever hunted, and it was the best spot out there. Like, he'd see 30, 50 deer a day, whatever. Now, like, to this day, you're still hunting that same spot over and over and over again, but you're not seeing deer, you're not having sightings and stuff like that. Are you going to say that there's no deer up there, the deer numbers are less, or are you going to and marry yourself to that spot because it was good some time ago, or are you going to pull up stakes and go look for a new spot that maybe has better habitat because habitat is changing and in 30 years a lot can happen to a spot that was once very fruitful.
Right. I mean, you take an extreme example of that, right? Look at a clear cut.
That's where I'm going at.
Right,
You
exactly.
correct. Like, oh man, I see deer in this clear cut, because there's a lot of browse and good stuff that deer want to eat, and all of a sudden that clear cut grows up
Quickly too.
Very quick. I mean, you're looking
5
at
years.
Yeah,
5 to 10 years, right? So, and then then you can't see into the darn thing to see deer. There probably are deer still in it at that point, and then it gets super mature. And so you don't have that understory, the sunlight reaching the understory to create browse. So it's just
there's
stuff
always
changes.
Stuff moves around. Even humans do that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Detroit. That place went to basically complete.
Went feral.
There was nothing there, and now it's coming back. I mean, stuff just happens.
The reason I bring that up is because when I used to work at the DNR, there were so many people that would say, like, my spot, I used to see so many deer here, and now, I don't. And I never was able to ask people that. As a DNR employee, now I can. Like, hey, have you considered moving? Like, have you tried finding deer?
From a hunter's perspective,
You can piss people off at Vortex.
Yeah,
all
selfishly,
the time.
I
That's
just wanted
all
to
we
get
do
it off.
here. Is
If
piss
we think,
people off.
hey, let's think about this. So, like the Paleolithic hunter, would he be doomed to sit and stare over the same valley and be like, "Gosh, there used to be mammoths here. No, they're not. I'll just hang it. I'll wait it out."
That's exactly
You'd be dead.
No, the proficient Paleolithic hunter says, "Shoot, they're gone," and takes off and finds them.
Yeah, it is literally insanity to keep hunting the same spot.
It is. I mean, I understand though. Like, I get it. If it's all you've ever known, and that's like your comfort level, and you get out that 2 weekends a year, maybe. Hey, man, I've been there.
And maybe it's not about seeing deer for you.
And that's probably what.
Right. Maybe it's just a sentimental spot to go and hang out in the woods.
And that's probably where I got my quasi jaded viewpoint towards tree stand whitetail hunting that just makes Mark so insane. And it's true. It is, because we would go up north. It would be the same routine. October 13th, 14th, 15th, we go up, hunt grouse and hang stands. November 4th through the 8th, we'd go up and sit in said stands, hope a deer walked by. Possibly it would. Maybe I'd shoot a deer at 35 yards, drag it out, hang it from the pole. It was that same thing, absolutely. And my father and my uncles and the hunting partners held on to that spot since like 1976. And prior to that, my uncle's roommate's old man hunted that like back in the 40s. And so like that's how that spot came to be, right? And so the locals up there, the wolves came in or whatever. And that's why there's no deer. Wow.
Wolves are just kind of like witches.
Yeah, correct. Burn 'em.
It's just kind of like, oh, something bad's happening. Wolves.
I just watched Monty Python in Search of the Holy Grail this weekend too, and the witch scene is my favorite.
Yeah.
She's a witch.
Here's something interesting to think. Squirreling around. I don't know why. Well, squirrel is right in front of me. Squirreling around back to the bait talk and hunting wolves and things like that. Predator hunting. When you go predator hunting, in a lot of ways, you're baiting.
Oh yeah.
But you're using yourself as bait.
Some people literally do use bait.
But some people, when you actually think about what you're doing, I mean, especially if you go and you're like mouth calling, you are the bait.
Yep.
Like they're coming in to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of a weird way to think about it, because then it's like, well, hey, if you're gonna bait hunt, you might as well use yourself as I don't know. That's kind of.
It's not. You're emulating the sound.
Well, yeah. I mean, they don't know they're coming to get a human naturally, but
it's not like Jim's making some self-inflicted wounds and jumping into some salt water and be like, "Where's the big shark?"
No, but I mean, like you said, some people do. You look at, I think guys will bait wolves up in Canada. I think.
Yeah, roadkill. Yeah, whatever.
Yep. I've hunted over steer carcasses in the Dakotas.
Yep.
That's bait. That's very productive if you're after coyotes.
I was gonna say the most coyotes I've ever seen was there was a dead cow in a pasture, and there was and people are probably, they might call me a liar. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this before in my life or since. Liar. He lies. I think there's no less than 20 coyotes.
That's awesome.
In the area.
Yeah,
I mean, we when we got in there, we kicked like 3 dogs off the carcass. I mean, saw 3 more running this way. We called. Here came 4. 1 came from behind us. It was wild, man. It was
spooky
just super
critters.
wild.
Spooky critters. Well, we're at that hour mark. It's kind of cool. We actually have a clock that faces us now. So Ryan,
look at
MC
that.
Ryan, I think MC Ryan was tired of us just always blaming him for having to wrap up, and we could really just keep talking forever. Like we said before, this podcast was not to insult anybody or make anybody feel bad for what they do. It was really just to have an interesting conversation.
And we want to hear your thoughts too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. I promise you, I should have said this at the beginning of the podcast. It's useless to say at the end of the podcast. I think fishing is cool, and then when I go fishing, I'm probably going to use bait on the end of a lure.
Fishing.
I want to watch Jim ice fish with his bare hands.
I would also love to go bare ass hand fishing, spear fishing, bow fishing, and maybe smoke pole fishing.
Can I ask you a question of total ignorance? Is hand fishing legal method of take in Wisconsin?
Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, I don't know. Some states are weird, man.
That is interesting.
I don't know the answer to that
Your
question.
bare hands.
Can a
if
fella...
you could catch a fish with your bare hands, you deserve. Well, okay. Noodling.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you can do that anywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere. You can do it in some places. We got friends in Oklahoma that go noodling all the time.
That's not for me because...
Shout out to Brian and Danny.
Mostly I'm scared of losing my hand to a beaver or something.
Or a snapping turtle.
Yeah.
The aforementioned snapping turtle.
Yeah. One with a head this time.
Yeah.
Look out.
I don't know. Look out. You know what? I'll send a text to my good buddy Brett, who's a conservation officer in Minnesota. I don't know if you can noodle in Minnesota. I don't think I can reach up under the bank and try grabbing a big old flathead.
It's weird to think about.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, too.
Cultural.
Like you said, that's a way
totally
of life.
cool.
Somebody's going to look at us being all weird about it and be like, yeah, I noodle every day. Noodle with my feet and my arms at the same time.
Those guys are brave. Those guys are brave.
It is brave. It's kind of strange putting your fist up a hole and, oh, shoot.
Not me.
Oh, dang it.
The camera angle is going to catch him right at that.
Right as I realized what I said. and getting
That's a
ready to. Yep.
So wait, I don't get it.
No, that's all right, Eric. That's all right. I'm sorry.
Let's look into that. Let's look into legal method of take. And I say we find us a nice,
I'm curious.
Shallow, either a stream running with game fish. Let's not do trout because they're kind of a special fish. Or maybe let's do trout.
I caught a trout with my bare hands.
Did you?
It was bizarre, dude. Like I was like looking down in this creek and I could just see this weird like shape, and I just like plunged in and snapped. Like I was shocked. I didn't really.
Were you just out for like a nature walk and you were like, oh, I'm just gonna have this out of body experience and catch a fish?
We were fishing the main river, and then we kind of just went on this little hike, and there was this trib that dumped in, and like I don't even really know like what compelled me. I was just curiosity. I was like, what is that? And I plunged my hand and I snatched it out, and I was probably as shocked as the trout.
It was
that it was in my hand.
Mark, it was the hunger.
It was the hunger.
It was the hunger.
But again, I don't know if that's a legal method. I caught and released it. I let him go.
Is that harassment?
I don't know. Did I just incriminate myself?
There's a statute of limitations on that. Did you say when you did it yet?
A long time ago.
Okay,
Jim.
good.
In fact, I'm not even sure.
Don't specify it. So that way,
I lost them all in a boating accident.
There you go.
Jeez, morbid.
It's interesting stuff. Hopefully, we didn't make anybody too mad with this one.
This is a good campfire conversation.
It's a good. No. This is just fun stuff you think about when you're chatting with people and you're trying to ruffle some feathers for kicks. If you can't joke around now and then, or just think about stuff that maybe
we're philosophizing.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is.
I've got a little blip here. This was March 1st, 2018, so this last calendar year. State lawmakers are working to lift a ban on the practice of catching catfish by hand, known as noodling, here in Wisconsin.
Oh, to lift a ban.
Correct.
Oh, so we could go noodling.
Well, I'd have to read on.
If not.
So in Wisconsin then, prior to this article being written or any legislation being passed, noodling for catfish was legal.
Was illegal.
Was illegal. Yeah.
Illegal, okay.
Wow.
I don't even know where you do it here. Just, I guess, in the Mississippi?
Yeah.
Generally, it's fairly slow-moving water, right?
The guys I know in Oklahoma do it in lakes. They do it in lakes because it's a little bit less risky, from what I've heard.
Oh, they do it in lakes.
The times that they've done it in rivers. I mean, the one guy I was talking to said he was on a river at one point and ended up he had his hand underneath like the hole. So you gotta have other people to come with you because other people are plugging the holes. They say right. So you only want that catfish to have one way out, and that way is through your arm. And he said that some dude was with him plugging the hole, and they're on this river, and all of a sudden he felt this thump, 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 thump on the ground underneath him. And this dude, he looks to his side, and I guess dude was just gone, who was plugging the hole. He pulls his hand out, and all of a sudden is it beavers that you're worried about when you're down there?
Beavers.
Yeah, just swam out, and he was like, well, crazy. I kept my hand that day.
Wow.
What do we...
Yeah, I would think, man, a river would be just... super.
Too many possibilities.
Moving water, get trapped underneath a root wad.
Think about what lives in rivers.
I think
I'm sure guys do it, but I'm not gonna.
Ryan just showed me an article. I think that what you caught with your bare hand was a tickled trout.
Do they? What?
It was a tickled trout. I think that's what you caught.
That's how you.
It says how to tickle trout.
Well, yeah, but I imagine that trout was being tickled
by you.
Not by you, I think.
Oh no! This is post catch.
Yeah, but what if just the way he was sitting in the water was just right that he was being?
Look, Jim, I don't tickle.
You
trout.
Interrupted something very, very personal to that trout.
Well, on that note, let's jump into last calls. I don't even know what they're going to be. I know what mine is going to be. Is that now I have a whole newfound thinking of corn. It didn't occur to me that like everything in the world that loves corn.
It does, man.
I mean, corn is just, what the heck? Even cars love corn. Well, I shouldn't say they love it because I hate gas with ethanol in it because it just screws stuff up.
Oh, geez. Why don't you insult a whole other industry?
Oh, you know what?
Might as well.
Oh, shoot. That's right. I probably did insult someone. Can you say anything these days without insulting somebody? Look,
No.
Do I use fuel with ethanol
I'm not
in it?
sensitive. I just know people are sensitive.
In my wife's car, she's not interested in performance vehicles and, all these things. So, yeah, I throw the ethanol in there because it's cheaper or whatever.
Swears the whole time, too.
Exactly. I'm always thinking to myself, like, that's freaking corn or whatever. Now, I know that there are some people with race cars that run full on ethanol and whatever. Anyway, when I go to the pump, I try to find the stuff without ethanol. What the heck am I talking about?
Last calls.
Yeah, corn. I think corn was put on the earth by aliens to bait us, and they also use it as a communication device with crop circles. So
it's natural, but not.
But not, right. So
I see what you did there, though.
Aliens are using corn to get us in some sort of a corn rhythm. And then just once they have us just right,
tickle the trout.
Yeah, they're tickling the trout right now. We're the trout. The corn is the tickler. Aliens are the hunters.
God. Wow. Never felt so violated.
It all makes so much sense now.
Why don't you top that last call?
Top it.
Man, I love those baby corns that they put on the salad.
Oh, those are good.
Good point.
They're strange. They're like corn, but not corn. Anyway,
they're delicious.
They're lowercase corn.
It's probably my favorite part. It's the least thing that you get on the salad, and probably my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
Last calls, man. We covered a lot of ground, got nowhere, and fun talk, guys. That's it. That's all I got. I'm exhausted from trying to defend
nothing.
But
in the same time,
I wasn't attacking anything. I was just shooting the you-know-what.
Eric, I believe that.
All right.
My last call is a squirrel makes a dang fine meal.
It is.
We literally screwed this recipe up in every way. I screwed this recipe up.
You don't. This was a collective screw up.
Yeah. I had this grand idea that we would take these squirrels, bring them in here, and everything would be all. Yes.
Jim is gnawing on a squirrel hindquarter, trying not to
This is
get
why you need to watch on YouTube. If you could watch this, you'd
really?
have a better appreciation for
it. Is 5 o'clock.
It is 5:01.
Part of the reason we got to scram.
Always have, my last call, always have aluminum foil on hand. Watch our Instagram story. You'll find out why.
Yep.
Nice. My last call, Jim inspires me here.
Hold on, I spotted a lot of hair.
Sorry, I did a terrible job.
I'm going to just say I noticed that too on the deer ribs. It was phenomenal. There's a lot of hair there.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. That wasn't my last call. My last call is this. There's a lot of food source out there that we as the modern man and woman have neglected. So Jim brings up a good point about baiting fish, which then goes into like catching fish and barehanding fish. And man, go outside go outside and hunt or fish because you can eat it and it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun to go do. And it doesn't matter whether you're picking berries or whether you're hunting bushy tails in the oak trees.
Mm-hmm.
Man, going outside and catching deers is good times.
Catching deers.
Because you get to eat it. There's nothing more gratifying than eating the thing that you go hunt or harvest.
True that. Or sharing it, as Eric is doing with me right now while I stuff my face.
Thank you, Eric.
Bone apples to eat.
That'll end it.
Signing off.
Let's send it on a classic bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that'll wrap it up for this episode of the Vortex Nation podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hit that subscribe button so you can always stay up to date on the latest happenings over here at the Vortex Nation podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Vortex Nation Podcast. Again, everybody, thanks, and happy hunting and shooting. We appreciate it. Have a good one.